On the far side there is Deb Andrews, who is the administrative assistant, keeps us all in order and keeps things running. So anyway, thank you all for being here this evening. First item of business is minutes from our last meeting, which was in May. Any comments, corrections, etc.?
I'll move to approve.
And I second that. All approved? All in favor of approval?
Aye.
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 All in favor. Okay, all three of us voted in favor of that. At this time now, we do set aside a few minutes at each meeting for citizens' comments, for people who live in Hudson or own property that wish to share a concern or an idea with us, especially regarding areas that this committee is engaged in or our city staff is engaged with, and no one is present tonight, so we'll move on from that agenda item. Next is number 5, new business, and 5A, we're looking at discussion and possible action of the 2026 infrastructure projects.
Yeah, so this item is mine. The city staff is looking to approve the 2026 infrastructure project so we can start the preliminary design process. So we're already in July, so the year's going by fast, and we already want to start prepping for next year's project, hopefully get them designed. If there's any prep work we need to do, kind of get that rolling. And so this is just a good time to discuss the project approval. We've come a few times, I don't remember the exact amount of times, but we have talked about this, like when we were talking about 2025 and 2026 projects. So this is kind of a play off of that for the most part. We looked at consolidating the mill and overlay project and kind of drove some of the project areas. So a few of those areas have changed. And so what we're proposing, there is a map attached, and so you can kind of visualize all the areas. And it's quite a bit of improvements, I think, kind of spread out around the city. So we would be proposing a mill and overlay in all of the Hudson Meadows neighborhood, and then all of the Burl Oak Curve neighborhood up by the middle school. Then we would also propose to do pavement reclamation. Hopefully that'll be pending like the geotechnical borings we would have to take on the pavement. But right now, hoping to do pavement reclamation on Laurel Avenue from 11th to 17th, and then continue down 17th to Cooley, and then also Hazel Crest Drive and Hazel Court as well. And then the other projects would be listed here are trail and sidewalk projects. So we're looking at doing the Crestview Trail, kind of trail replacement from industrial to the post office, and that'll kind of be a nice gap in front of Festival Foods. They just repaved the new trail in front of there, so then we'll try to kind of connect the dots, for half of the Crestview Trail and kind of get that on the same, hopefully, maintenance cycle as that little portion that was replaced. And then the First Street curb ramps, that came about with like public safety comment and kind of a lack of pedestrian ramps at some of the parking stalls, the angled parking on First Street. So we already had that approved as a project, and so we, instead of using TIF funds, which we were originally looking at, we're moving to use the sidewalk funds for that. And so part of the project will be the ramps, and then the other part of the project will still do a sidewalk replacement project like spread out through the city. So we have some areas identified, I don't have them on the map, but that would just kind of be all over the city to really fix big tripping hazards and things like that in the sidewalk. And let's see if I missed anything. We would also do 2.5 actually alleyways, so that those we've identified as well on the map. So we kind of picked those specific alleyways. And the one thing to note is right now, the total for the roadway projects is $2.77 million. And technically right now with the bonding of 2.5 and $150,000 rollover essentially from this year is what we're anticipating, we are about $120,000 short. But that, hopefully with some refined cost estimating, these costs still kind of took into account some older asphalt numbers, and so hopefully we can just kind of work it out with hopefully we continue to get better pricing like we have this year, and that all these projects will fit into the budget that we planned. But I just wanted to highlight that. If something might, towards the end of final design, if we feel like there's just not enough, we might have to like look at reducing something.
Yeah, I know Erin and her team have been kind of in a weird position when they're doing estimates, because what numbers do you go off of? Do you go off of 2 years ago when everything was high, or do you go off of this year where everything came in fairly reasonable and we were able to get, So it's like when they're doing the estimation, it's like, well, what number do we use? It's like, maybe plan for the worst and hope for the best again type of thing. So I know we had a conversation like, well, should we pull anything? It's like, I think at this point, I think we would just move forward with the project, get some refined estimates, and then if we do indeed bid it out as it's presented, look at what the numbers come back, we may have to withdraw a portion of the project at that time. So that's kind of what I was recommending, just because we really.
So that way you do the engineering prep work.
Yeah.
To be ready if the bids do come in.
Yeah, yes.
And hopefully we'll be doing those projects at some point.
Right.
If there is one that we have to strike for next year, that's always unfortunate. Have we always had the CIP include a trail maintenance budget, or have we just added that in the last few years?
So that's been added probably 2 bonding cycles ago, where we added $50,000 each year for trail maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's probably been four years since
So
that's
that
been
was the
added.
2 years blended.
Yep.
Again, we're
Yep.
trying to get more bang for our buck, if you will, by doing a bigger project.
Correct.
Rather than doing a $50,000 project every year.
Yeah.
We're lumping them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Brooke, did you have any comments you wanted to make or questions?
Not at the moment. Thank you. I think that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I guess in general, I think it is worth just a little bit of a discussion about how, like you said, you've mentioned these streets to us before. They're not a surprise. We knew that that's what next year would be, was kind of a maintenance year. And I just think that's helpful for the public to understand. The reasons for it is that we can get a better bid with a contractor who's going to do that specific task, so they can do it multiple places. And am I correct that there are some streets in Hudson that might be in much worse shape than the ones that are listed here, but the cost to do those or the repair technique is quite a bit more significant?
Yep.
How would you
exactly.
phrase that?
Yep. So obviously, as you're driving around the community, there's streets, for example, 9th Street, Walnut Street up by City Hall here, Dominion Drive.
Nye Street, I'm starting to pitch for Nye Street right near the
Yeah,
EP
it's
Rock.
on our radar, but
Tough shape.
you kind of got to compare, 9th Street is, estimated at about a $5 million project, right? So it's like, do you put all your eggs in one basket in 1 year, or do you do what we're doing here, where we're trying to spread it out, try to get more of the streets done, get our PACER rating up, and then, pick a year. And I think we were kind of shooting, we might be applying for some grants for 9th Street, but that's coming up down the road. But pick a year where we just pick 9th Street because it is it's going to be one of the worst ones. So yeah, it's one of those.
Traffic
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. So it's definitely on our radar to do sooner rather than later.
And I appreciate the engineering wisdom and the experience, the commitment of, we need to take care of our streets that are in the best shape to maintain them. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like getting your oil changed often on a new car,
Yep.
whatever it is, you need to
Yeah.
do that upkeep. And so sometimes it may feel to residents that, why is that street getting some work done again? But that's part of the strategy. So are you looking for us to vote to approve to move it forward today, Erin? or
Yeah, basically voting on it, and then I'll kind of present it at the council as well, just so everyone's on board to move forward.
Do you have any other comments, Mike? Anything you'd like to offer?
No, I think that's good. Again, I've probably said this a million times. This discussion could probably go on for 17 hours straight of which road is worse and which whatever, but at some point we use, our professional staff to try to do that hard thinking of what is, again, you spend it all on one road. I think this is, I've driven through both of those areas, and they definitely are on the not a want list, but a need list. So, no, I think this is good. So I'll move to approve the 2026 infrastructure projects.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve these projects as outlined by the staff. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Right?
Aye. All of us have agreed we're in favor, and we pass that on to the council then. Thank you.
Great.
All right, next item on our agenda is we have some information back regarding the 2027 Locust Street reconstruction project. And, we're trying to move forward, getting more information. So it's discussion and possible action to approve Bolton and Mink to provide the topographic survey engineering services for the 2027 Locust Street reconstruction project.
That was a long title, sorry. So yeah, for the Locust Street, so again, kind of planning ahead, planning for these projects. Locust Street will definitely be like a longer design process because it'll be full reconstruction, it'll include utilities. And so right now we still are in the middle of the preliminary kind of conceptual design phase. That's what we are going to do in 2025. But then 2026, I just want to be able to kind of hit the ground running with the design. And so before that, we need to have the topographic survey, that a survey comes out and we get all the existing conditions information. And so we've worked with Bolton and Mink many times. They've done this exact type of work for us. So I did just reach out to them for an estimate, and I felt like it was reasonable and it fit within kind of our dollars we slated for 2025, which was $100,000. And so it still fits in with that. And so I'm just recommending that we kind of approve our letter of engagement with them and then forward it to Finance and Council for approval. And then they might even have some time this summer to even get started on it. So, or this fall, but.
So this is only a limited part of the project?
Yes,
We're not,
yeah,
when it comes to further design. I mean, is there a dollar amount where we do have to go to bid for what they would charge us for a service or not for this sort of thing?
In prior years, engineering services typically were not bid out.
Okay.
It was more of a carry over, and we worked with SCH and Bolton and Mink were kind of our select firms. And from time to time, we would get competing offers from our letters of engagement from them, but we found like SCH is more of like community development, big planning, whereas Bolton and Mink is more of the nuts and bolts, like streets, infrastructure, so on and so forth. So no, we have not, it wasn't a requirement to bid out engineering services.
Okay, thank you. And like I said, we have a track record and a history with them. Any comments or questions from the committee? So,
following that, so this gets us the topographical survey. Question what a structure measure down is?
Oh.
Is that
That's like the manhole. So the sanitary sewer, they'll open the manhole lid and actually measure down to get the exact depth of the utility, and same with storm sewer. So then that allows us to kind of like design the flows and the sizing and everything.
Makes sense, thanks.
Yes.
So this will get the kind of, here's the lay of the land, and then when we actually do go to design, this information is necessary for them to figure out if we're gonna do a bump out a flower pot here, whatever, okay.
Yes.
And so this won't be duplicated by whoever is sitting down to design it, okay.
Yep.
So every project we do does a topographic, a topo survey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless it's like a mill and overlay, you don't really need that because you don't really need that detailed it's kind of like putting back what's already there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll move to approve the Bolton Mink survey engineering for $16,000.
And I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to approve item 5B. Any further comments or suggestions? Questions? If
Quick
not,
question.
okay. Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry, quick question. And this is related to Locust Street, but not related to this letter of engagement. But I'm just wondering if there's time and if it has to go on the next agenda, kind of where things are with the planning process. And so we can do that at a future meeting if that makes more sense.
Yeah, we can do that at a,
Next.
we can do that at a future meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that too. What kind of input has been given, or we've had any summary statements, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor of item 5B, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you, and that passes. That goes through. And then under new business, item C, we're going to discuss the Public Works operating budget for 2026.
All right, so this is your first look at the Public Works operating budget. You'll have a chance to review this for those of you on finance and then Common Council over the next number of months. So this won't be the first time you see these numbers, but I just wanted to get them in front of you to see if you have any initial thoughts or questions. Obviously, there's not a, well, I'll kind of walk through the biggest change, but when I went through the numbers, obviously in my issue sheet, I noted that these do not include any personnel adjustments, whether that's, healthcare or steps or anything like that. It also doesn't include the new facility operating budget at 2101 O'Neill Road. Obviously, we're incurring some expenses up there right now for utilities, whether it's gas, electric, some minor repairs on like an overhead door, so on and so forth. So I want to, Finance Department is working on carrying or inserting line items specifically for that facility. And once those are in there, obviously, I'll try to populate them as best I can based on our, ownership period here. So the biggest thing, obviously, to look at the bottom number, the overall budget, like I said, minus the personnel costs, is an increase of 2.5%. In the Excel spreadsheet, I did kind of indicate via a red hue or ink those items that were increased, and a green one on those items that were decreased. You can obviously, a lot of the numbers were fairly similar, minor changes. The only large change was the professional services at City Hall, and that is due to bringing on a professional cleaning service for City Hall and the library and the police department on 701st Street. So in one of my Public Works updates at a recent council meeting, I put in there that we had a staff member that left, a building maintenance staff person, and instead of backfilling that position, I looked at bringing upon a cleaning crew and basically turning the janitor, building maintenance person at City Hall to oversee both sites. So more of the 30,000 foot level, whether that's HVAC, lawn mowing, fire testing, elevator testing, extinguishers, kind of the big stuff, light bulbs, locks, so on and so forth, and relieving the janitorial duties and bringing on a cleaning crew. So it was by doing that, by contracting out that service, it was a net savings of about $40,000 to the city. And so obviously, temporarily over the last couple of weeks, the cleaning service has been on board and been a steep learning curve, but it'll be on the Common Council meeting on the 21st to approve more of a long-term agreement with that company. But needless to say, that's kind of the big increase there is that going from 25,000 to 42,000 shows a big increase here. On the flip side, the First Street budget, it'll see a big decrease because we'll get rid of all of those full-time costs and retirement and FICA and health insurance. And so that's where, kind of like I said, the budgets will balance themselves out and be a savings of $40,000. So other than that, I mean, that's pretty much the biggest thing that I wanted to point out. Obviously, there was some slight increases in just utility costs, a bump of $5,000 to keep the street lights and traffic signals going in street lighting, reduced motor fuels by $5,000 based on historical trends. So a lot of it, when we're putting together this budget, it's myself, it's Deb, and then it's Kevin Soltis, our Public Works foreman. We sit down for an afternoon and we crunch the numbers. We look at, what our current actuals are for the year that we're in. We take a look at what our previous year's totals were. So we go back to 2024 to look and see, and we kind of try to do a good job as far as what our historical trends were, what our current needs are, and then try to extrapolate out to what our future costs are going to be with inflation and try to keep it as low as possible. It just makes the conversations a lot easier. So with that being said, I don't know if you have a specific question or that's kind of just the high level on the public works budget.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mike. That's a good explanation of that, and yeah, thanks for going into detail of rather than just hire someone else and put them, because we've always done that, let's look at it a different way. So I appreciate you looking at that and long run saving us money and maybe better, more reliable service, or rather than depending on one person, we now have a company that we can ask of. So yeah. Yep. No, and I went through it all, and again, sort of like what we just talked about, we can say, $250, shouldn't that be $200? Well, you guys have done your due diligence through the whole thing, so I appreciate you keeping it as tight as I can, so.
Yeah. And the one thing to note as well is obviously with the mild winters over the last couple of years, the overtime costs have been down, which is great. I mean, and then the salt allotment that we've been required to take by the state of Wisconsin for our contract, they've actually exempted municipalities from taking their full allotment the last couple of years. So that saved the city some money as well. So that is under, let's see here.
400.
What is it, Deb?
You got the numbers
53,300.
memorized, Deb?
Yeah, she does.
53,300 under the 400 accounts, and then the 53301.
Okay, so one to the third page. It is under street maintenance. It's ice control chemicals.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So 53300-454.
I'm lost.
Okay.
Probably mixed my pages up.
Yeah, it's under street maintenance.
I'm sorry, it was 303.
There we go, all right.
Ice control chemicals.
Oh, sure, got it.
So
So you're budgeting the same amount
yeah,
again?
so yeah, if you look at our current year, we are at 27,000. Our previous year was only 34,000. And you're probably wondering, if I was wondering in the public, why are you budgeting $100,000 for salt when you've only spent 27 last year and 34 the year before? Well, that's kind of one of those things where if we get a average winter, we'll use that entire budget. We've just been fortunate to have mild winters, and we might not be so fortunate this upcoming year by the state. They might say, we're not doing any buyback program, you got to take it all. And so when I'm trying to I put in our request for salt. I go based on what we have on hand, try to guesstimate as best I can what we're going to use, and then based on that, so salt is about $99 a ton. We get 1,200 tons, and we have a 400-ton reserve. So then I kind of extrapolate that out, and that's where I get that $100,000 number. And that doesn't include brine or beet heat. Those are also numbers that I need to account for. So that's kind of an explanation on that number.
And the 53,300 one?
Yep.
Kind of together.
Yeah, 53,300. So if you go down just a few lines, highways 94 and 35, it has ice control chemicals. So that is for budgeted $35,000 for that. And those are typically used to buy the brine and beet heat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep.
And that's a more expensive product.
Yeah, yep. So that's the brine is cheap. The beet heat is a little more expensive, but those are needed. We use that to pre-wet our salt at the spinner, and then it activates our salt quicker. We can thaw ice under really extreme temperatures, more than if we were just to put salt on there. It would, it might take a long time, or it might not thaw the ice there. So, yeah, those are additives.
The best way in the beet heat too.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
Sarah, did you have any comments or questions on the budget?
No, I just was going to say, Mike, Thanks for that explanation. That makes great sense to me. If it is a mild winter and we have that surplus money, can that be allocated to anything else? So for example, we're thinking we might need some extra money in the roads. Can it go there, or does it have to stay in this bucket? Or
So it can be reallocated. So in the last couple of years, we have been under budget, and any savings that we have for those years just goes back to the general fund. So, I mean, if there is a particular project that we have in mind, or let's just say we're short, it's one of those things, because the way that the expenses are split for let's just take salt, for example, right? So I'm going to be, depending upon if we get snowstorms in September, October, November, December, I'm using this year's budget, right? And we've already used, 27,000, and I might use another 40,000. So it's one of those things where we don't want to spend too much of that money because we might need it at some point in time. So it's challenging. And then when we do know that, hey, let's just say it's November and everything's looking good in December, we're not doing projects in December, right? Typically, those larger sidewalks or alleys,
Right.
Those are long gone and done. So it's kind of a catch-22. That's why it just goes back to general.
got it. Thank you.
Good question. Well, I know that certainly this year appreciate, trying to hew to a low number percent-wise of increase, because that's going to be important. The city is undertaking, the bonding for some big projects that we're doing with our new facilities for police department and public works department. So that's, I guess what I wanted to ask you, and I know so this isn't a year that it would be likely, but do you see your department needing more staff at some point? And if so, what area do you think? I mean, I noticed how you're budgeting, some of your public works staff, some of their salary comes out of stormwater, at least one person, am I
Yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah.
so that covers that person working on a particular project that affects the stormwater utility. Is there areas of the city that we're all happy about the idea of contracting the cleaning services?
Yep.
Other areas that we could either contract out, or is there some way where you see that you might need more staff, or what?
Yeah.
What do you see in the future? It's not this year, but
No, yeah. So
Division.
it's kind of funny you bring that up, because I know I have a friend that works over in Lake Elmo, and I ran into him last week Friday over in Somerset, and we were talking about putting budgets together, and I was talking about the cleaning service, and they contract out their mowing over there. And so I kind of got a ballpark number of what they pay per acre of mowing, and I got to kind of put pen to paper to see what that cost would be. But speaking of the parks, more of the parks side, parks and urban forestry side, obviously we've been hit hard with EAB. We're kind of at the end of the tunnel there, but I know that we're going to be doing a lot of tree planting and pruning and so on and so forth. And then the parks itself, obviously we continue to add, whether it's, the parcel next to Boucher Apartments, we got the splash pad going in, eventually the St. Croix Meadows down off of Brecken Drive. That's a 7-acre parcel that's going to be developed in the future. And so there will become a time where, right now I have one full-time employee and some seasonals that kind of maintain the parks. But there's instances where there's events going on, and they get pulled from this, and then there's an emergency. For instance, this last week with, the beach and the goose problem down in Lakefront Park, and it's like,
the goose issue.
yeah, so big issues, and it's like, okay, do you take them off of this project to put them on that, to clean that? Well, then this isn't. So obviously, as we continue to grow, we just want to make sure that our staff are growing and providing the services that the public are expecting out of the city of Hudson.
Right.
And so
Parks are
yeah,
important.
Yeah.
They absolutely are, and it does take work and upkeep, and I know, we're going to talk about staffing a little bit later in the agenda, but
Yeah.
I just was interested in that. If, we've added police officers, we might have some more support staff here at City Hall. I don't know how long it's been since we've increased the staff
Yeah.
for Public Works. In fact, we just went down one person.
Yeah.
So you guys are working hard and very efficient, and that's appreciated, but
I appreciate
think
that.
as a city, we need to be thinking about the possibility. I know in the past, there was a parks department, if you will, or someone that was designated to oversee the parks.
Yeah.
So, but of course, no, that's one of your personal areas of interest because
Yeah.
of your master's,
Yeah,
right?
my background in parks.
Was in
yep,
recreation management and so on, so you probably don't want to give that up.
yep. Yeah, it's,
Maybe you just want to do parks only, leave the snow plowing.
any more help would be appreciated.
More help, there you go. All right, thank you, but, so we're not looking for a vote
No,
on this,
nope.
just discussion. All
Yep,
right,
yep.
thanks.
And like I said, if you
Mike.
have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out.
Yes, and as you mentioned, the payroll, the
Yeah.
health insurance is one of the big hangups at this time of year when we figure out how that's going to affect the city budget.
Yeah, and so with that being said, obviously, once we get those numbers back, or the finance and Brent gets those numbers back and inserts them into the budget, I might have to deviate based on what I have already, presented tonight. Not only for, Public Works, but Parks and First Street and Ward. So I might need to adjust some of those numbers to get, I haven't been directed yet to meet a certain percentage, but I'm sure that'll be coming up in future discussions.
Okay, we'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing us into it early on so we can
Yeah.
have a look at the details. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay, the next item under new business is...
Sarah has something.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah, yes, please.
No problem. I just wanted to piggyback on an idea, Councilmember Knudsen, you said earlier about the RFP process. With respect to the janitorial company that's going to be coming in, did that go out for bid? How was...
Yeah, so I had reached out to several companies to put a bid in and received 3 back, and basically was awarded temporarily, to the lowest bidder, and that'll be coming forward to Finance and Council on the 21st for formal review and approval for more of a long-term contract.
Thank you for that clarification.
Does that make sense? Okay, great, thank you. The next item, new business, is 5D, discussion and possible action to approve the 2026 stormwater utility budget. And there is a draft on our issue sheet here for us to look at. Thank you.
Yep.
Mike, go ahead.
Yep, so similarly, put together the stormwater utility budget, and based on the numbers that were inserted, I was able to decrease the budget by 1.27% compared to the 2025 budget. And I did this in order to get the expenses more in line with the revenues. So if you go to the last page, our total projected expenses for 2025, I had at 551,000. Our projected revenues for this year were 539. So we were about a $12,000 short of our projected revenues versus expenses. So what I wanted to do for this year's budget is I wanted to get those numbers more in line with one another. So our expected revenue for 2026 is 544, and our total expenses is 544, 481. So that's why there is a slight decrease to this budget. Like I said, just because I wanted to get those matching one another. And so for that reason, obviously, did just kind of some small manipulations of some of the large capital outlay budget. So we typically this year we had 180,000. I reduced that by 10,000 for next year to 170. I did include an equipment lease. So last fall we did rent a street sweeper in the fall to supplement some of our sweeping operations. We rented a unit for a month, and it was fantastic. So the sweeper that we have is the vac one. During heavy leaf drop, there's just no way that it can keep up. Right. And so a lot of times we get plugged storm sewers, and it's just, if we got an early winter, luckily, knock on wood, we haven't, but having that extra sweeper that we leased from McQueen Equipment that we purchased from before, and having another person just go in there and just supplementing, we were able to stay on top of it a lot better last year. So I'd like to move forward and keep that in the budget. So that's why I had to add that in for $12,000. So those are kind of the two big ones. The other items pretty much stayed the same. So with that being said, I don't know. I guess I don't think we need a formal action at this point.
Okay.
I think more just
I think
review.
it's usually
and
October, isn't it?
Yeah. But obviously kind of the same thing. Just want to get some numbers in front of you and have a chance to look at them. And if you have any questions, obviously you can ask them now or email me later.
And am I right that you have one of your staff street sweeping almost all summer?
Yep.
Quite a bit of the year.
Yep, so we have a part-time employee that comes in. He's retired from the city of River Falls. He's been
okay.
sweeping for us for, I think this is his third or fourth season. It's fantastic. So sweeps really heavy in the spring during spring cleanup, and then like 3 days a week during the summer, June, July, August, and then back kind of 5 days a week once the leaves start dropping.
Okay.
But no, he does downtown every Thursday morning, and
Okay.
he was in over the weekend for Booster Days, sweeping up after the parade, and
That's good.
early in the mornings on
Yeah,
Friday, Saturday,
That's
Sunday.
nice. He's
so.
willing to come in
Yeah.
on the weekends.
Yeah,
Or a holiday.
Yeah.
Great.
absolutely. But yeah, like you said, during our Public Works budget update, so we have, I'm trying to think, there might be 3 or 4 full-time employees that a portion of their salary is paid for out of the stormwater utility.
Okay.
Obviously we have our lead inspector, but we have a couple other of supplemental employees that will help him out from time to time
Okay.
on projects. And so we do account for that in this budget to help, like I said, pay for some of their salary.
Sure.
And that's reflected under, collection system maintenance, salary, wages, full-time. It's 123,000. So we have one FTE and then a couple of partial. I should forward that on to you. I actually have a spreadsheet of like all of the full-time employees and where the percentages of where they're taken
they
out of the
do.
budget. Yeah. It's just interesting to see where,
And you have them tracking or logging their
Yep.
hours, like if I spent half of one day
Yep.
doing something.
yep, urban forestry versus street maintenance versus, equipment
that would be
maintenance
interesting,
versus storm, yeah.
That's helpful because it helps you plan
Yeah.
and also us account for what's going on. and
Exactly.
Where we might need more help or designate more funding.
Yep.
For another staff member.
Yep.
So, great.
So,
Thank you. All right, so no action on that. Did you have any comments, Sarah?
Do not.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to have a discussion about the Wisconsin DOT local program grant opportunities. That includes the STP and the TAP grant, so.
Yeah, so this
Here, I'll take
one's
that.
my item. So every other year, I believe, all 3 of these programs, so they're considered the WISDOT local programs. And so essentially it is federal dollars, but the state kind of gets to run the program. And so I recently got the emails that all the applications opened up. So they are due October 31st, 2025. But, you have to put cost estimates, you have to do a little bit of work. We can do it all internally. But just want to get ahead of that, start the applications, start the discussion on which projects we would be interested in applying for. So I've listed them all here. We can just go through them each individually. So the SCP Urban, that is specific to urban collector or a higher functional classification. So essentially our more busier roads with that, I guess collector roads. So the main roads you drive to get to your destinations. And so I did attach kind of the functional classification map on the agenda, so everyone has an opportunity to kind of see what roads those are. So if you're clicking on it, it's basically all the yellow, green, and red roads would be eligible for the STP Urban Grant. And
So for example, 11th Street,
yes, yep.
the grant that we received was an STP.
Okay.
Yep, the current project right now is through an STP Urban Grant.
Yep.
Just talking internally, a good one we thought could potentially be Carmichael actually, but south of 94. So the section that if the interchange were to be reconstructed, it would not be affected by those project limits. And just kind of keeping on top of the pavement from Carmichael, from Center Drive and to the south to some point. We'd have to look at cost estimating to see, we might not be able to go to our full city limits or where we would stop that to try to get into kind of a $2.5 million range for what we'd want to apply for. And so Carmichael would be a big one.
So let's just stop there, Aaron.
yes.
Okay. So for those of you that drive Carmichael,
Yeah.
you're probably thinking, this doesn't look bad at all, right? Especially south of I-94. Well, if you actually get out and walk it and walk along the shoulder, you will notice that there is a lot of linear cracking. There's alligator cracking that's starting. There's not a lot of potholes, which is great, right? And I think that's due to just the thickness of the asphalt mat. You're not seeing that. But my main concern is if we don't do anything to I don't want to do a full reconstruct on Carmichael Road. Let's put
Right.
it that way.
Yeah.
And so, this is a time where we can catch it early enough where we can spread out our dollars and get more of Carmichael Road back to a pacer rating of a 9 or a 10 instead of, letting it go and only, doing like spray patching. And then 5 years from now, we got to do a $10 million project, right? And so that's where we're coming at for Carmichael Road. It's one of those things where even when Dean Chamberlain was here, we looked at, doing some crack filling and doing some, spray patch material, and we got out and started walking. It's like, where do you start and stop? It's actually pretty broken up. So that's kind of why we have that on the back of our minds.
Yeah, exactly. And this will be 2026 to 2031, is the project range. So theoretically, it could still be a few years before the project even happens. Like 11th Street, I feel like we've probably been talking about it for a few years now. So that, and then we have talked about like 9th Street is on our radar, but there is, it will need full utilities, and we felt like maybe we still want to have that in our top of the mind as we're like planning the CIP, but also we can take advantage of the water and sanitary funds to like pay for some pavement replacement as well on those projects with full utility replacement. So we might have some other options on those types of projects. So that's kind of how we narrowed it down to Carmichael, because there wouldn't really be any significant utility improvements.
And what do you anticipate? You said, Mike, you want to avoid it deteriorating to the point that it needs full reconstruction.
Yeah.
So I need engineering help here. What would you describe what is needed?
Yeah, so then we will need to look at it in a little bit more detail. I know Dean Chamberlain had done some work to do something called an underseal. So it was almost like a fancy mill and overlay, where you like mill off the top, you actually do like a seal coat on the base and then pave over that. But you do need to have like a really thick pavement section, so that's where I don't think it was ever determined yet with like taking pavement cores, like how thick is the pavement right now, and so that kind of determines what methods you can do. And so we will have to look at it a little further if we want to go forward with this method.
Yeah.
And could you comment on the portions, is this all in the city of Hudson? Because I know
Yes.
further north, there's still township
Yes.
sections, so it's completely
Yep.
south.
Yep.
So we don't have any
No, we're not.
issues with a resident that lives not in the city,
Yes,
for example, or
correct.
property.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And this is roads only, not bridges, not overpasses?
I think it's more roads. I think it would be hard to do a bridge because of the dollar value.
Okay.
Yeah, because you looked at some of the projects that have been awarded, and
Yeah, so essentially, it is kind of a complicated system. The SCP Urban, it sounds like it's not necessarily, there's an allotment with STOT, so they don't necessarily take into account like the project needs. And so if it's too high of a project, this is what I've been told, you're really not gonna get the funds.
Okay.
So you kind of want to keep it like
reasonable,
a
because
reasonable cost.
they're looking to disperse the money to many communities.
Yes,
instead of,
Yeah, so it's gonna be hard to put like $11 million bridge
Right.
on there.
And is this an 80-20 or?
Yes, this is 80-20.
Yep.
Okay. So do you want us to take a vote on these specifically, Or do you want to just give us the whole presentation to go through the rest of them as well?
Yeah, I guess each one, I don't, I'll have to double check if I do need to actually do something for council, like get a resolution, because I feel like the TAP grant we do.
Typically
So it's
you
like
do.
I'll have to come back
Okay.
kind of with that resolution of support.
So it's
So
just discussion
I think,
today.
I don't know if we need a formal motion,
Okay,
but if you guys have other, suggestions or other things we want to look into, feel free to put in your,
2 cents.
yeah.
Sarah, did you have any other comments on this first one?
No, Carmichael makes sense. I do have 9th Street on my radar, but I know you do too. And it does sound like Carmichael's probably the better course at this time.
Okay, so that was STP Urban.
Yes.
So now on to STP Local.
Yes, so SCP local, this is for the local roads, so all the other roads basically in the city that don't have as much traffic, maybe just serve like residential neighborhoods. And so this one is actually scored by committees that can come up with their own scoring criteria. So that makes it a little harder for me. We don't get like, these are the points you get for these things,
Okay.
basically, when the committees are reviewing them. But a big factor that I have been told is definitely the existing pavement condition. So with this one, I've looked at a map of all of our PACER ratings and really trying to target like the lowest PACER rating roads. And one of them that stood out was Dominion. And so this road, it's off of Crestview Drive, so it's between Hagen and Industrial. So it serves a business area and it actually has a PACER rating of 2. So it is in really bad condition. It's and since it serves businesses, hoping like maybe it'll score a little better there, but also just because it is really bad pavement condition and the overall project scope, wouldn't be too extensive. That's the one we've tried narrowing it down to that will maybe score well, and there's also a big need for it based on the current condition.
Explain what we were discussing earlier this morning about project costs and previous projects that were awarded.
Yeah, I've looked at some previous projects awarded in other cities, and they I guess one of them was by a park, one of them was by a school, the other one seemed like a random residential neighborhood, and I kind of have in notes from talking with people that I should try to keep the match to around 500,000. So it can't be like a really big project, and so I think we'll have again, I'm guessing they're trying to spread out the money, the committees when they're looking at the project. So with the information I have, that it seems like kind of just doing, essentially one larger block. And maybe if we get into the cost estimating, maybe we could tack on like another street kind of in that little business park area, but we'll have to look at that.
Okay. Questions or comments? Anyone?
No, that makes sense. I think, it's like the old, was it Kohl's Cash or Kohl's coupons? You go buy stuff. I don't shop there. But you go buy stuff because I have a coupon, right? So this
Never
is free
buy
money.
anything full
So let's go buy
price.
stuff we don't need. But this is actually the reverse of it. I think what our approach is as a city is, even if 100% was coming out of our pocket, we need to do that street one of these days. So this is just a way to, maybe we do get lucky and get some higher government help, but
Yeah.
it's got to be done. So now it's more how we pay for it, not, hey, we have this free coupon, how do we spend it type thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
a good call.
I mean, the good news is based on, the last few projects that we've done, we've been tackling some of our worst roads, right? So you got the North Drive, you got, Malibu Drive and Prails, those were ones. So, I mean, we're getting down there where we don't have, I think we might have one left, maybe?
And now O'Neill, Vine. Yeah, there's like a few little random streets.
So now we're kind of kicking up to that 2s, and we only have a couple of 2s.
That
and
are, you mean that are
that are
PACER
current,
one?
yeah, right,
okay.
PACER rating of a 2.
Yep.
And so now we're starting to look at those and bringing them up to a 10 and redoing
Yeah.
them. So So that's the good news is we are starting to pick away at these roads that are the worst shape in the community.
Yes, there's always, I mean, it's good to know that we're getting the list
Yeah.
whittled
Yeah.
down. That makes feel like you're making progress. Mike had mentioned earlier about the 80-20 match that some of these grants offer, but yet there's a window of a few years that we have time to plan for it, and whether we put it in our regular street maintenance or choose to bond for, put it in CIP.
Yeah.
We usually can work with that financially.
Yeah,
Come up with our
Yeah.
portion.
Yep.
Usually there's a little window of time.
Yep. You have to usually have a 5-year window
Okay.
to spend the money. And so obviously we kind of know what we're doing next year is a mill and overlay project, a larger one with a couple reclaims. 2027 is going to be Locust Street. So that kind of puts us out to 2028, and obviously 9th Street is high on our list. So that kind of gives you an idea of where so you're looking at 2029, 2030. So if we do get some of these
Yeah.
grants, that might be where they're slotted in out in 2029, 2030. So that, 4 years from now. So it's hard. It's,
Yep.
Yeah, you got to plan ahead.
Yeah.
That's how,
Yep.
I appreciate you guys being thoughtful and thinking ahead like that. Appreciate it. Okay, so then the next grant that you had, do you
Yes.
want to take that one as well, or the application process?
Yeah, so the third one, it's the Transportation Alternative Program. So this one really focuses on, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, recreational trails, and safe routes to school projects. So this one actually did have a little bit better list of like awarded projects and project types. And so based on what our city has as a need and the awards that I'm seeing, some of the options could be sidewalk construction along different safe routes to school corridors. So I did see some projects that were actually multiple locations, so it didn't seem like it had to just be like Summer Street. It could be like Summer plus, the other streets around EP Rock that are missing sidewalk and that are on the safe routes to school route. I think we've struggled with adding new sidewalk just because of our special assessment policy, and like 100% of new sidewalk is like the burden of the property owners. So I think we just get a lot of pushback. We do get pushback. I mean, the second highest topic then is maintenance. So a lot of people will push back because, well, I don't have to shovel and now I'm gonna have to shovel something. Those are kind of the two things that we usually deal with. So in this situation, say we did get a grant for 80%, then maybe we just put the 20% burden on the adjacent properties and have to just, discuss the importance of it with the safe routes to school and the maintenance of it.
yeah, our assessment policy does have language in there for when the city does get grants and how assessments are. I don't know it off the top of my head, but there is language in there.
That relieves the
Yeah.
burden on the property
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah.
If it's something special, and yes, doing a large area that does not already have an existing sidewalk,
Yep.
I think in the long run, the property owners appreciate it and enjoy having it, but yes, the cost of it.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. So
And
thank
then
you.
another one is, it is a little bit higher up in our pedestrian and bicycle master plan. And so there is identified as a trail connection need to Rivercrest Elementary School along Carmichael. And so that one, to me, it's a little bit more of a joint border, and it's along the YMCA camp, and I feel like I would rather just do like a feasibility study and almost preliminary design, including like right-of-way and environmental, and to kind of really see what that trail connection would need. So this one wouldn't be for construction, it would kind of just be for this feasibility study and preliminary design, and then hopefully we just get a better idea of what that project would actually look like. So that's the second one, and there's a lot of other trails out there, but
Talked about Carmichael.
right, yeah, the Carmichael, missing trail connection, that's been come up a lot. One thought we had was we don't really want to get a grant for this trail connection and then we come back in 10 years or whatever the time frame is to widen it and then we blow it out. So to us it was like, I don't necessarily want the grant money if we know it's kind of going to be reconstructed in a semi-short time frame. That just doesn't look great. I feel like getting money and then like ripping it out.
Right. Well, it's a concern. It obviously, right, so we're hearing feedback and people are worried about, it's a busy street and they're trying to, there's not that many north-south roads in Hudson. And that's a major one. They want to ride their bike, walk, whatever it is. That's tricky.
Yeah,
But I agree, we don't know what development is going to happen when.
Right.
And to spend money on something that might end up having to be redone,
Right.
Yeah.
that's hard to justify, I know
Yeah.
what you're saying. Interesting about the Rivercrest, because I remember when that school came in, of course, this probably was never put in writing, but that the school district, they needed to annex, we're extending sewer, water out to them. And because, everyone likes having a neighborhood school where the children can walk. Well, that's clearly not a neighborhood school on the edge of town. And the school district at the time had said that they were going to put in a trail to help connect.
Yeah.
Never happened. So, it would be nice.
Yeah, where are the minutes for that?
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, do some
Exactly.
sleuthing on that.
To search the River Channel.
Yeah.
Hold on. Anyway, okay, thank you. More comments there? Anyone else with a question?
So this is strictly new build, it's not maintenance or improvements of existing trail?
I don't think that's gonna score very well, maintenance. And
Yeah.
I could reach out to ask, if that's a possibility to do maintenance.
We did
but
look at some of the previously awarded projects.
The
and
whole list of them, I don't know if,
Maybe one was a maintenance, maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember.
yeah.
Well, they just
I
want
don't
us to
even
generate new
remember,
paths and.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
The concept of the feasibility study, and maybe, I'm just gonna inject this here. Along Stage Line, we've talked about, that, and I know it's through the, when people, because I live up that area, people go, wait, I'm in the city, now I'm in the town, now I'm back in the city. So it is on one of those edges
Yes.
where there's other communities. But I think, if I look back, I know we've always talked about, a path going into schools or whatever. But we've had a couple different developers, and a lot of the time that the conversation stops in its tracks is that's a dangerous road for families to ride bikes and walk along. And I know we have others too. But just to kind of put that on the list somewhere, maybe down here on the list. But we do have a new development coming in there with
Yep.
8 new units, 6 units, something like that.
I think it's like
Yeah.
Is it big?
20.
20 maybe.
homes, yeah.
And then we're gonna, there's that other development that one we're still working on next to Lighthouse or whatever. So, and it's gonna happen, But that would be something, again, maybe I just am remembering it differently, but I just think that is one road we've talked about the dangers and developments getting halted, saying, we don't want to bring a lot of families in there, even though there are a ton of families that already live on that road. So, just my 2 cents on that.
No, absolutely. I think that is one that's kind of in the back of my head too.
Okay.
Are you saying that you think there's actually more current need and demand on that road than you would say to Rivercrest? How many kids would ride their bike or walk to
I
school?
see it, and there's a lot of people that walk that way, whether to work. You see a lot of, Burger King and Starbucks uniform people walking up the road and walking down the road. As raising kids there, that was a no-no. You don't do that. You don't ride your bike or walk on that, but you do. You see people riding, and it's
Right.
it's a tough
Well,
one. So
that's a good point. It's like how many, I don't know, it's kind of build it if you build it, they will come, but how many kids ride bike to school nowadays? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
Well, right.
not as much as they used to.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
knowing from my kid, I have 4 kids in school, and I can't, maybe on one hand, I can count the number of kids that ride bike to elementary,
Right.
and the school's in town, so. But maybe if we built something in the Rivercrest, they would use it. But yeah, I understand what
Right.
you're
But
saying.
we do have people, and the more development there is going to be more car traffic.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
well as,
that's true.
young people or whoever, people that are working, need to get to work, walking, riding their bike.
Yeah, if we need to pivot and focus more on,
Yeah, that's
I
a
have
good
no,
one to
I have
bring
no,
up.
yeah.
Like,
I just see more walkers on that than
Yes.
on the dirt shoulder. And then, yeah, I do like the idea if the school said, they built the tunnel underneath,
Yes,
That
to go
doesn't
to the
really
Y
go
camp,
anywhere,
to the
yeah.
Y camp. Yeah, I think it was to allow the kids to go over
Yeah.
there for nature
Outdoor
classes and
classes, yeah.
science and whatever, yeah. But, I mean, obviously, the Y camp is not in the city of Hudson, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
I think the Stage Line Road one would be a good one. The challenge could be if, how do we work with the town to, I don't know, it would
Right.
probably be hard for them to cost share. I don't know if they would. We could try maybe to actually do it on like their stretch, because obviously it makes sense if we can connect it all the way, to the existing system already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So
would have to
that'll-
put some sort of agreement in
Or-
place.
yeah. Even, future maintenance. So
Yeah,
even
exactly.
if we could reach out and like start a conversation about, even if they were,
Open. The
see
idea.
where that leads to.
So I think there's a sidewalk around the hospital.
Yes, there
And
is.
then
And
it
then
stops
just
at the
stops.
town.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be the only coordination piece, but I think right now we would have time to, I would think, start, like, have some conversation,
Okay.
at least one conversation
Yeah.
about it and
I
see
think
where
it's
it
worth
goes.
thinking about.
Okay.
And thank you for
Yeah.
the maps that you attached. For example, I'm looking at the functional classification map that had the
Yes.
colored, and I appreciate that you had used the dotted white lines to delineate,
Oh, yeah.
city limits. So if anyone is listening to this or watching
Yeah.
this video and wondering what we're talking about, there is a neighborhood in a section that's still part of the town of Hudson. That's kind of on O'Neill Road inserted,
Yeah.
Hudson's grown up around it. And so that's what we're talking about, that we don't have complete control of that roadway or the right-of-way adjacent. There's a few places along Carmichael going north also. So that's helpful to see those lines there to delineate. Do
All
you-
right,
do you
well,
have any-
that's it for that
Thank you.
topic.
Do you have any comments, Sarah, or input?
Nope, I am comfortable with how it's going.
Thank you, and I just want to thank you, Aaron, and the engineering staff. Like, I understand that our other engineer is now fully licensed.
Yes, yep.
Maverick, I don't know Maverick's last
Yep.
name. I don't know.
Maverick Pape.
Pace, okay, thank you. So between the two of you, you're able to do these in-house, and that really saves the city a lot of money. And I also think you're being able to advise us and knowing the city so well really helps, that how we might be able to best fit into some of these grant applications, because we do have to kind of tailor the application to what you think is going to be successful. And thanks for all the time and effort that you put into that. It is very helpful. Okay, so that is the end of new business. Going on to old business, we have a report on the potential repairs or engineering assessment of the 6th Street stairway that has broken down and is closed at this time.
Yeah, so this one, we've talked, it's on old business, so we have talked about it before. And so we did get the LOE with Bolton and Mink approved already previously here and at council to go forward with doing a design and looking more into cost estimating. So that was the $21,800. And so now they're at the point where they do have some 90% plans, took, a little more, better look at the stairs to see what types of repairs would be needed. Also, the railing on the stairs is in very poor condition, and that will just be a full replacement need on that. And so they have estimated the construction to be about $100,000. And with $5,000 for like construction engineering, so inspecting while the construction's getting done. And so we double checked on this, and we can use the stormwater utility for it, the $126,800. And we wanted to present it because we're just at this phase of it and just try to continue the conversation after kind of knowing the better cost construction estimate. The plans themselves, they're pretty engineering, I'll say. It's not necessarily a pretty picture, but in general, there's a few spots in the stairs, and there's actually a knee wall on one side of the stairs. And then with the railing that they have to add, they are gonna add a curb and gutter, or not gutter, just a curb. on one side of the stairs where right now there is a drainage swale, which was kind of what caused the undermining of the stairs, and actually it's broken apart in some areas. So essentially the concrete drainage swale will be removed. They will put riprap to help with erosion. We'll add this curb to add a railing on it, a railing. Very basic railing, trying to really go like the minimum cost for a railing. And then there's essentially, they're gonna try to throw a lot more gravel under the stairs, and in general, like the stability of the stairs is pretty good. Like they're not caving in themselves. And so there's just some minor repair spots essentially. And
so when we first met with Bolton and Mank,
Yep.
Basically we had the conversations like, well, what do you want to do as a city? Do you want a full replacement? Do you just want to fix them, and get them back open? And I said, yes, option 2. So what is it? Give me the lowest cost. What is it going to take to basically get these back open? And so that's kind of what drove the design. And so what Aaron just explained is based on conversations that we had with Bolton and Mank. If we were to do a full scale replacement, obviously we'd be probably talking about who knows,
Yeah.
600,000, 700,000, out of our budget. So this is kind of the minimum. It's funny saying $126,000 is minimum.
Yeah.
But this is the minimum that will get the stairs back open and get them to a spot where we wouldn't have issues of erosion in the future and undermining.
Okay.
And, I went out there recently. I mean, it's very overgrown. So again, I don't know how many people are using them, but part of the project would be a little bit of clearing out of all the brush that's overgrown on it as well.
Yeah. So now we're basically at a point where the ball's in your court. If you think spending, $100,000 plus is worth it at this point, so have at her. I don't know. I know, Sarah, you've received a few calls. I don't know if you want to chime in first.
I definitely have gotten calls from residents who have concerns that they don't have access to it, who use it for a variety of things, from training from getting more up on the hill downtown, and there are no additional tax implications for this to happen to our residents. And really, by having it sit there and just having it blocked off, potentially there's some liability issues. I would like to see us move forward with this, and I know that the residents that I have heard from feel the same.
Yeah, I do remember that past conversation that we, one option was let's just, permanently close it and say it never existed, and those people who grew up in Hudson years ago could say, I remember when they used to have stairs there. But I think we decided as a crew to, that is something that we at least have to look into it, like you did. And I think from last time I saw it, it is getting pretty overgrown, but nobody's been using it, or they shouldn't be. This is a lot more than just a Band-Aid. The stairs do seem pretty solid. I mean, structurally that looks good. This isn't just, spray patch it and keep our fingers crossed. And if we're also, for this dollar amount, if we're also going to, the best you can, you never know what Mother Nature throws at you, but the water abatement issue or whatever is being addressed, I think that's probably, again, like you say, it's not a small amount, but for keeping that historical staircase there, I think that's a decent amount. It's never going to get cheaper. And we are to the point where we either close it forever. We're not gonna come back to here in 5 years and say now maybe we replace it. So I'm all for moving ahead with that. I think we kind of owe the neighborhood and the city this, again, I'll call it the historical stairway. So
Could I ask you a question about the budget then for stormwater utility? Is there a stormwater fund in addition to your annual budget, or how does that work?
Yep, so the stormwater utility is set up where if funds aren't used in that operating cycle, so let's just say I'm under budget in 2025, those dollars that are collected go into, lack for a better term, a savings account
Okay.
that we can use for future stormwater utility purchases. So for example, we just purchased a new street sweeper.
Yes.
Okay, and so we dug into that cash reserve to help pay for that. And I can get it if you
I
buy
know
me
you
some
have
time.
mentioned the dollar amount
Yeah, I
before,
can-
so that's what I
okay.
was getting at. You do, there is a fund where,
Yep.
I do recall the purchase of the sweeper.
Yep.
And I know you showed us those dollars before, so I don't mean to put you on the spot there, but it won't impact the budget that
Right.
you've proposed.
Right. It would
come
be
out of-
taking out of those cash reserves that we
Okay.
have on hand for stormwater utility. Yep.
Okay. And would you see it, is there any other purchases coming up that
Yeah.
you think, oh boy, I
Yeah.
gotta get some money together for X. and
Yep.
If we spend this $100,000, $125,000, will that slow down your progress there?
So we're looking at replacing our vac trailer here in the, let's see here. Hold on. Bear with me.
Sure.
So the vac trailer we use to jet stormwater lines. We vacuum catch basins. We use it for spraying down sidewalks and graffiti, so it's come in handy. But we bought a used unit just a few years ago to see how much we would actually use the unit. We use it all the time, so it's like, all right, it's time to maybe invest in. So let's see, we have that slated in 2027.
Okay.
So a couple years out. And then obviously, continued pond restorations. We have a couple of big ones coming up, whether it's behind St. Patrick's Church off of Vine Street or Pond 141 across from the post office. That needs a lot of work, dredging. And so, yeah, those are kind of the two big items that we would have coming up.
Okay. So you don't think this would hinder doing that?
No.
Repairs and
No.
work elsewhere? Okay, thank you. Well, I also value the stairs. I mean, I think they're a nice connection from the Prospect Park and people who live up on the hill, especially because we are strongly advising no one ride their bike or walk on the newly constructed 3rd Street Laurel Hill up. That's quite narrow and steep. So this does provide an option for people to come up and down, especially for children wanting to come down to Lakefront Park or get an ice cream cone, you name it. So I am in favor of it as well. So it sounds like all of us are supportive or feeling that way tonight. Is it appropriate that we vote and then it could go
To finance.
next to finance and
Yeah.
then council?
Yep.
Is that what you would be
Yep.
looking for?
Yeah, let's do that. Because then I will reach out, hopefully with the timing for getting it on this council, but I'll just talk with them about like 100% plans. We could still approve, I think, these 90% plans. Just trying to get a schedule for when the earliest we could bid it. And I think we were talking about we'd want it to be fall anyways when the clearing will be a little easier for construction. So, yeah.
So
yes.
if the council does approve, it could
Yes.
happen this fall?
Yeah, yes.
So that it would be back in service?
Yep.
Okay. And as far as the 90%, that just allows a little wiggle room because, I mean, is it ever 100% before they start? I know, like our
Well-
city hall steps, we discovered
Right.
an unknown cistern
Yeah.
underneath,
Yeah,
things.
this is like maybe they'll refine, the details or add a note or two to like cover us during construction. They were actually gonna look at, so it should be in the final. We were looking at the drainage here at the end of 6 and like how much is actually kind of almost like overtopping the edge of the street. So we might do like a little bit of like regrading and just some of the pavement. So that's what they were looking at adding as well.
I see. Okay, well, I would be happy to have a motion from the committee.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the, what are we gonna call it? The 6th Street stair repairs.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to proceed with Bolton and Mink's plan for repairs of the stairs and the railing replacement as itemized here, with the total coming, we're hoping 90% estimate to $126,800. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, that is approved, and we'll move that forward to see what the rest of the council wants to consider. Thank you. Okay, another old business item is the 26, well, it's for the future, but we've discussed it before, the yard waste management problem that we're facing for 2026.
Right, so obviously always planning for the future, right? That's what we do here. So as all of you are aware, this upcoming fall of 2025 will be the last season that Waste Management will do curbside pickup of biodegradable bags. So residents right now have the option to do a cart subscription, or they have at City Hall and County Market, there are these available for residents to purchase. They go down there, they pay $3 a ticket, they slap it on the bag, they call Waste Management, say, hey, I have 5 bags that need to be picked up, and they come by and pick them up. They're going away from this service just because it is labor intensive. They want to just use the trucks, understandable. In fact, some of the other haulers that applied for our RFP this last go around when our contract was up, they didn't have any curbside pickup as well with bags. It was all cart subscriptions. So knowing that, I just want to have this on the agenda, this meeting and next meeting to kind of just brainstorm some ideas that we can give residents in the future. Obviously, the cart subscription is still there for those people that want to use that. And I know, do you have one?
Yes, I've used the cart for quite a few years. The price has gone up significantly over time, but it is a good service. It's easy. You can just throw, small branches, leaves, plant material, weeds that are growing in my flower beds, end up in that cart, and then they come every Friday is when the pickup is, and it's a convenience, but easy.
And so with a lack of not having a brush site or a leaf drop-off site, specifically in the city of Hudson, I know we've tried some different things in the past where we've gotten dumpsters and that becomes a thing and people just leave stuff out. You almost got to man it 24/7. Then you got to know who's in the city, who's not in the city. So obviously, my recommendation is just kind of talking to Washington County, some of their organics and recycling staff over there, is being in our position. They say, well, why don't you just go with the cart, and whoever wants the cart can get that. And if people want to use the bags, they can either call a lawn service to come and get them, or they can take them out to some surrounding companies that dispose of those types of materials. So that's kind of where I'm settling, but obviously this is open for discussion. If you think there are some ways that we can try to lessen the burden and make it more palatable for everybody to make the transition. I will say that at City Hall this last year, we kind of just went down, and because we keep track of how many people come to City Hall and buy stickers, 6 people at City Hall. Yeah.
Okay.
There wasn't many more up at.
And there wasn't very many more up at County Market.
I couldn't get through to the gal that.
Yeah.
I find that interesting because there are a number of people in my neighborhood that put out bags and I never see a sticker on them.
Yeah.
And they pick them up.
Yeah, pick them up.
So they have actually been pretty generous about that.
Yeah.
Whoever's
We can try to
driving
get that number too, but.
Pardon me, I'm sorry?
We can try to get that number.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
Waste
it's
Management, we did reach out to Waste Management. They didn't get back to us as far as they should have a number in their program,
Right.
like how many service calls they get. It would just be interesting to know between us and County Market. But like you said, it doesn't account for those that they're
Sometimes-
giving freebies for.
Yeah, they are. It
Yeah.
seems like it. They just pick them up.
Yeah.
And they haven't, had the paid sticker. I don't think some people know about it, perhaps. But in the county, St. Clair County doesn't really have any option.
No,
They're not considering
no,
anything
no,
for us.
unfortunately.
Okay.
So if I'm hearing this right, so the benefit of the tags are if I need it next week only, I don't need it for the rest of the month.
Right.
I buy as many tags as I want.
Yep.
And they come and get that. So what we're gonna move to now is a cart subscription,
Yep. $11.25 a month.
$11.25 a month, and is that you sign up and it's there for the year?
Yes, you have to,
And
right now you have to pay
you
for the
can't-
whole year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the service
Fully-
is only available obviously during, you know,
Okay.
the spring, summer, and fall months.
Okay.
So there's, yeah.
And that's an opt-in, 1125. That doesn't add, remember we had the other thing, I think, with organics,
Right.
that the whole city has to pay a little bit more.
Right.
So that we're still at baseline.
Yep,
This
this
is just
is
being added.
opt-in only, it's not spread
Okay.
across, yep. You individually
Decide
would
if
make
you
a
want
decision
that.
if you
Okay.
want that subscription. or
Okay.
not. Yep.
And I think that's, I think that's good. We're not saying, we used to have a way to get rid of leaves and lawn clippings, and now we don't. We just have a different way of doing it. Might be a little bit more, and you're committing to doing that. But yeah, I'm with you. Just from the oil recycling we've talked about in the past, to, you think that all the citizens would just chip in and go, this is great for the community, and then they leave a mattress and a washing machine, and now we have to dispose of that.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good. I'm feeling comfortable that we're offering a different way. It's still a good method, and then maybe on the website. If there are private companies that take
Yeah.
branches, or you could go dump off lawn clippings or something, again, probably for a fee, have that available on our website. So if someone's really curious, what are my options?
Right,
That would be good, so.
yep.
It should be on there.
But as far as like having private companies, like
Oh, yeah.
like a specific
Oh, yeah,
lawn care
that's-
company that you would call and say, hey, I got, and I'm sure they would gladly do it for a fee, right?
Right, yeah.
Or if the person wants to take, I know that there's surrounding businesses out on our outskirts that would take, biodegradable bags with leaves in them.
Yep, exactly.
So if people want to save money. So there are options out there, but I'm curious to hear what Sarah has to say about this.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I'm one of the 6 people that comes and gets the tickets. I was just thinking, like in our case, I think we got 31 tickets or darn close to that, and we got our leaves all done in one stretch, or as close to one stretch as possible. So like a garbage that yard waste just doesn't really work. I mean, that would have taken us the whole 6 months to get rid of the leaves that we had in our property. So I don't know if there's any, I looked at the link that came from the county. I knew from the past conversations that we had that they were not able to provide any services at the moment. I would like us, I'm wondering if we can talk to, is there any way we could do some kind of partnership with the township where residents could, for, a 6-week window, for a small fee, bring their yard waste to that. I think, can I have, and a point of clarification about the garbage or the yard waste receptacles? Is it $11.20 some odd cents? Is it just during that period, or do you pay that year round?
You do pay that year round.
Even though you're not getting services for the months or however
December,
many months?
December, January, February.
They start maybe April,
Yeah.
mid-April.
So it's
And
not
it
a
is-
one-time fee, it's a monthly fee?
Right, right, I'm interested to hear the monthly breakdown, because recently it's been an annual fee.
Oh, okay.
And then they bring a cart to you, so it's like started at $80
Well-
or $90, now it's $130-ish.
You're right, it is an annual fee.
Yeah.
But if you break it down, it's $11.25 a
Right.
month. You're right.
And
35,
currently, right now, for someone like Sarah was mentioning, where they have excessive amounts in a short time period, right now, you can use your yard waste cart and put bags next to it, and they'll take the
Up to
biodegradable
10, I
bags.
believe, isn't it? Or it used to be 10, I don't.
Oh, I don't know, a limit on how many, but they
But
would.
that's good.
As they get out of the truck, toss all that in, but I do think, like you said, they're going to the mechanization, they want to use a truck.
Right.
To pick them up, rather than having someone pick
Yeah.
up the bags,
Yeah.
so.
And like I said, nothing has
Right,
to be.
so that's obviously going to go away then, you're not going to be
Right,
able to.
you won't be able to, it'll all be
Right.
in the cart,
Right.
so.
You'll
Nothing
have
has
to
to
get
be decided.
creative about crushing your leaves.
Yeah.
Right.
And nothing has to be decided tonight. I think it's just one of those things that I wanted to bring back to the Public Works Committee to kind of just get your thinking caps on. But in my issue sheet, I did say that we should probably have something semi-concrete by September as people start kind of, collecting their leaves, regular leaves in October, that we can get some of the messaging out like, hey, this is going away and here are
Yeah.
your options. So, we can put some feelers out to the township or even the county. I don't know where the township would even host something, but maybe I can reach out to Chris Proston from the county to see if they have availability off of Highway 12 or something like that, where they would, you know, they got their facility there.
And we're not supposed to burn them anymore, right? Asking for a friend.
A friend, yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can use that as fire starter.
Right.
Yeah.
Starter and goer, yeah. Because that used to solve a lot of the leaf problems.
Those were the good old days, right?
Yeah.
But not for people with respiratory issues. It's hard.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thanks, Canada.
But I mean, it's one of those things too. Let's just say we do have let's just say we decide like out at Grandview Park, we're going to designate a portion of that parking lot where people can come and just throw their biodegradable bags off and have a company come and collect them. Well, we're going to have to pay that company,
Right.
you know, $5,000 to $10,000 to come and collect all those leaves that were deposited. So it's not like, so that has to be accounted for in the budget. So it's kind of one of those things where we want to try to have something in place sooner rather than later so that we can account for it in the future.
Well, again, if you look at it, if it's, I mean, when you own a home and you're responsible for leaves, let's say, and cleaning them up, for $135 for a season, just dollar-wise, my thought is, I mean, you can't get anyone nowadays to come to your house and pick up, you know, an old TV for less than that. So I think I think that we're like I said, we're still providing the service. Is it different? I don't know. I mean, Sarah, I get your point. Like, the leaves fall in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So you almost don't need it the other couple of months. But, you know, can you continue to bag them and put them, here's me coming up with ideas, put them behind your garage, and one week you fill it, and then the next week you fill it again, and then you know, maybe you do some storage of it. I think to me, it's just one of those things that this is one of those things of remember when we used to burn leaves. Well, we don't anymore. Well, remember when we used to be able to put a bunch of bags out. Well, that's not around anymore. I mean, it is things that are changing, and like you said, Joy, they want to mechanize it. They don't want the guy getting out and having to, you know, wreck his back throwing 10 bags in anymore. If they can pick it up with a machine, that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate the conversation because I do think it's important. I mean, picking up our leaves is crucial to protecting our waterways, which I know we all care about. So, I mean, this is a big issue, and I don't want to take away services and have us, you know, have more issues in our stormwater.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this is a big issue, and I appreciate you talking to the other townships to see if there's some ideas or spots to do. And Mike, I hear your thoughts on that. It's just one of those things, when those leaves fall, the subscription service is almost done.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it'd be one thing if that happened in the spring, and you do still have some leaves that you're picking up in the spring for cleanup,
Yeah.
so.
Well, thank you for the input and for your research. It is a challenging problem. We wish we weren't having to deal with it, but it's good to talk about it, have input from our residents, and moving forward. So no action on that today. And then the last item on our agenda is the project updates. 11th Street reconstruction.
Yeah, an update for that one will be that they are making good progress, even with all the rain we've been having. The paving is going to be starting next week, actually Monday, Tuesday, potentially, depending on the rain.
Okay.
Or any other weather. So right now, this week, they I guess, in general, I guess, because we haven't been here for a while, the curb and gutter is poured. They're kind of grading the roadway. All the utility improvements have been completed. So they are actually this week doing the concrete work on all the driveway aprons. And then next week will basically be the first lift of asphalt. And then I don't have a date yet for the trail, but they were going to be doing the trail after they do the roadway. And so I don't have a full updated schedule. That's kind of just the right now schedule, but I'm thinking it still seems like we're on good track to finish before school.
Yeah.
That's great.
So.
And we have heard from some residents about the overall width of the street. Obviously, it's a lot different. And so Aaron and I looked at our map, you know, as a city, all of our street system. So for those of you that are wanting to kind of know what the width would be, so if you go up 3rd Street Hill, from City Hall. And when you wrap around and it turns into Laurel, there's that stretch kind of by the retaining wall that we just put in.
Yep.
So that's pretty much going to be the width that you'll see on 11th Street. So that kind of gives you a comparative analysis as far as what that's going to look like. I know right now it looks really tight, but there's going to be plenty of room for cars to pass two ways on it. And then it gives us the boulevard for the street or for the off-street trail for snow storage and you name it. So, but it does look a lot different if you look down
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more narrow,
Yep.
but at least there isn't a cliff.
And
A
there-
wall and a cliff
You know,
next to you.
in the conversations that I've had with a couple of residents, there, obviously, the design was driven based on community input from our public meetings. People are concerned about traffic speeds and kids crossing over to EP Rock, and so it was kind of a road diet. Narrowing the road will decrease the traffic speeds. It gets the people off the road, walking on an off-street trail. So this wasn't, City of Hudson, this is the way we're going to do it. We took a lot of input and time in a couple of public meetings where 50, 60 people showed up and gave us their inputs on the design, and this is what was settled on. So,
And a lot of it too is existing conditions and staying within right-of-way.
Yep.
So there's a lot of steep slopes on both sides. It's a very difficult corridor to design and stay within right-of-way. So the widths are within the range of, standard lane widths, and the state has approved the plans and everything. So, I don't have any concerns with it.
And when you mentioned the steep, Nate, some of the property have fairly steep. Are we providing a retaining wall, or is there anything there that's going to be?
No, nope. So a lot of them are existing conditions where there's like steep slopes going to the existing curb and gutter already.
So that's up to the owner to do that, the property owner to,
Yeah, there wasn't
that.
anything, I guess, provided before.
Okay.
So
okay? Thank you. Okay, how about O'Neill Road reconstruction?
Yeah, that one, we also are going to be starting that one up next week. So we talked to the contractor, and they are planning to kind of start and get started with the project next Monday. So I did actually just receive an email with more of a detailed schedule, and they are still looking to be done by October. So we'll get started next week. Right now they have kind of paving after Labor Day. So that would be an update for O'Neill.
Will that be closed? Will that be?
Yeah, so we are, obviously there's a few businesses that only have access off O'Neill. But in general, to really try to limit those people that are gonna try to speed through the project, we are gonna make it look a little more like a hard closure at the main roads.
Yep.
So Tower and
Hanley.
And then try to promote business access through the other roads through the
Okay.
business park. But the businesses will still have access, the ones on O'Neill, for what they need.
Perfect.
The DMV will
Yeah.
come from
Yeah,
that
and
direction.
they have a side
Yeah,
road
route
access
them.
too, which is nice.
So those are
yeah.
going to be more of your occasional, oh, they're only going to drive at one time.
Right.
People that are going there versus people who work at the
Yeah.
other businesses.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that would be good to direct them a
Yeah.
different way. Great, okay, and number C, under project update, new refuse and recycling pickup schedule.
Yep, so this is just a reminder that the new refuse and recycling pickup schedule starts the week of the 21st. So all refuse and garbage collection will take place on September,
23rd.
July 23rd.
Okay,
But I haven't seen anything. Have you?
And
Has
recycle.
anybody received
anybody
anything in the
seen
mail?
anything?
No.
no, I did not.
Oh, fantastic.
Nothing, right? It was
They
supposed
were
to be mailed out
supposed
on the
to-
8th, and then people would have
okay.
gotten it by the 10th.
Were they a postcard? Was it a postcard or a letter?
Well, if nobody got it, obviously, we were supposed to get it too.
Right.
But as a clarification, so that's Wednesdays.
Wednesday.
Everyone in the whole city of Hudson has trash and recycling pickup on Wednesday,
Yep.
starting next week.
We'll do a follow-up
We
tomorrow.
need to call Tim Miller tomorrow and
Because
say what's
if
going on.
nobody's gotten them,
Right.
Yes.
Okay, let's. good
I
to
know we asked them to take responsibility for that. Perhaps we should put news alert on the city webpage.
Yep,
That's it,
We-
you know.
yep,
I
we
know
will.
you've maybe had it before, but refresh, alert
Yeah.
for people.
Because I've already gotten calls.
People are confused, partly is
Well,
when
they're
does it
confused.
start? Yeah.
Yeah, I would be
they're
confused
confused.
too. Yeah, absolutely.
And when yard waste is still Friday,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yes, okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You still have to call in. But-
No, not for subscriptions.
Oh, not for subscriptions, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is confusing.
Subscriptions.
Okay.
Yeah, they have changed the date a couple times.
That's the same.
Yeah, they have moved it back,
Been a
yeah.
little tricky that way.
Sorry.
So we will reach out to Waste Management tomorrow and see what's going on with their communications and go from there. If anything changes, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and then,
Yeah.
project update about staffing.
Yeah, just a quick staff update. Obviously, a lot going on throughout the community over the last couple of weeks with booster days, and just trying to emphasize the need for, continued looking at staffing overall for the city. Obviously, especially with the seasonal help, it's getting harder and harder to find kids to work. And I know it's not just the city, it's across the board,
Right.
whether it's at your local hardware store or fast food restaurant, it's just very challenging. And the ones that do want to work, they want to make $30 an hour. And so obviously that will continue to be something that I need to look at with our staff and possibly in the future, whether that's bringing on a full-time employee to replace 3 seasonals, so on and so forth. So, for booster days, obviously we're setting up the week before. We're barricades, garbage cans. We got 4 staff on over the weekend doing rounds and cleaning looking at restrooms and taking barricades on and off. So
Is that mostly your seasonal staff that works
Seasonal
on
staff.
the weekend?
Yep.
So
Yep, exactly.
that's nice. Your full-time staff gets the holiday off.
Yep.
Okay,
And so obviously they're when we have these big festivals and we get more and more of them every year. And so it's just something that we need to just take into consideration when we are staffing and how much staff time do we devote to them. I know it's not just my department. The police is down there staffing as well. And
yeah, it takes a lot.
yeah, it takes a lot. So,
Takes a lot.
but yeah, that was kind of just a quick update on just,
For an example, with the barricades.
Yeah.
You can tell them.
What's that?
That maybe they need to,
Oh, right. So for our barricades, obviously, we've supplied barricades in the past to booster days for their parade, blocking off the parking lot, so on and so forth. But they've gotten just a little bigger, with some of their needs over the years. And, our barricade count, we hand make them, and some of them don't last throughout the season. Are they stolen? Or they get wrecked? And so it came to a point this year where we ran out of barricades to give them, so we were giving them cones. And if something were to happen on the outskirts of town, we wouldn't have had anything on hand for an emergency situation. So those are conversations. We're having a wrap-up meeting with them here in a couple weeks, and we're going to encourage them to try to hire that out and hire a company like a Warning Lights to bring in the barricades.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
So that, I don't have a problem supplying a few for parking lot closures, but to do like the parade routes,
City,
a Cooley, it's like we put ourselves in a position where, like I said, if something did happen, we didn't have anything.
Yeah.
and it's not just boosters, it's
Yeah.
hot air fair, that's another big, we
Yep.
bring a lot of barricades out for them, and we don't even have enough for them that they have contracted services for that, so, there's a few big events that we need a lot of barricades for.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's when those events come across, we are having those conversations about trying to have them hire outside companies to help supplement their services, because, like I said, it's not, 20, 30 years ago where we had plenty, and the events were a lot smaller, and now it's just
yeah.
like
A lot of people.
a lot of people
Yeah,
around,
and
and
the
so.
safety is
Yeah.
paramount, so you don't want to skimp on them.
Yeah.
And like you said, so in other words, you're saying that if law enforcement needed to barricade off something, an incident that happened somewhere in the city, we wouldn't have the
We would have
resources.
Steal from-
been,
yeah.
scrambling, yep.
Yeah.
They're also putting out the barricades too. He's, police, they're staffing it, the whole parade route, they're putting barricades out, they're taking them down, and it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Right,
On
the
that-
city carries, it's called the Booster Days, and we're so grateful for the work of
Oh,
the
yeah.
boosters. They
Right.
do a lot, but they are volunteers also and a limited, and so it does put a
That's
burden on our city
problems.
staff
Yeah.
to help make those events happen.
Yep, a lot of
And
changes.
with that being said, in both Public Works and Park, I thought Booster Days was great from the parade. The parks looked great. The garbage was emptied. The lawns looked great.
For the fireworks, heard the fireworks show was
Fireworks were great.
phenomenal. Yep.
So I think
Sunday was better than Saturday with the monsoons coming through.
that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no,
I agree.
but the staff did a great job. It was,
Thank you.
you know, when you walk through your city, and you know, I've been here forever. You walk through and you're proud of it. You know, you see all the Minnesota plates coming in. You know, you can say, "Yep, it's a beautiful park, and the streets are clean, and the garbage is picked up, and the parade was fun, and you know,
Kids
so
are
that was
above
good."
average.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Hopefully
I
we'll keep
thank
going.
you for that comment on that, because it is something that the staff needs to hear and appreciate, and we are proud of Hudson
Yeah.
in our city, in our parks. Right now, I know you're dealing with an issue that
Yes.
is a little unique this year because there's a high increase in the geese population.
Yeah, so those of you that are aware, the Lakefront Park geese population has exploded. Last couple of years, I don't know if it's because of the mild winters or what's going on, but we usually would have like 12 to maybe 15 geese down in the park. This year we have 82.
And
so-
counted.
Yep, we counted. We went and counted. And so obviously they're creating a problem down there, and staff is looking into options for future, you know, ways to combat them, or because over the weekend and they just kind of mow through the park and they're messy, and so
Yeah.
and staff is having to clean up after them all the time, and we had some instances with some graffiti, and so just know that we are aware of the situation, and we're looking into ways to combat them, and that might need future dollars to go towards that. I know Brent has reached out to the DNR. They directed him to the Fish and Wildlife, and so we're having conversations with them as far as how to control them and manage them and what our options are. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, they will move along. We encourage people to not feed them.
Yes.
I know we have signs out along some of the trails and stuff like that, but feeding the waterfowl just exacerbates the problem. They're migratory birds, and if you're feeding them, they stay here, they nest here, and then we run into problems like we're facing right now. So please obey the signs. They're there for a reason. I can put out, and hopefully, you know, I did talk to our field foreman. I'll probably order some more just to put in some other locations, but that's a big thing, is not feeding the geese and the waterfowl.
It's a very steep fine if you get caught. So
Yeah.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, we have to work with DNR controls what we do along the riverway, and obviously the state agencies can give that guidance, and yeah, it's challenging. Some people think, oh, wildlife, yeah, like you said, let's feed them, aren't they cute? And then they'll cause a mess, and also sanitation, hygiene issues
Yep.
are concerned. So it's a little bit like the deer population in Hudson, where there's some deer, they're decimating people's gardens, and 2 doors down, someone might be feeding the deer, you know, because they think they're cute in the backyard. So if there's a push-pull on that, but I appreciate all your work, because I know it's kind of landed as an extra project
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of
it
this.
kind of just sprung up here. It's like,
Spent your day
Yeah.
talking about goose poop.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, explosion of the numbers
Right.
is interesting. Well, let us know. Yes, certainly the city may need to take steps, because I do think we want to have our beach usable.
Yeah.
To have a place that people can swim. And so we're going to need to take steps for that. And I appreciate the work and the research, and let us know what it costs. We
Yeah.
need to figure that out.
Will do.
To keep the park looking the way we want it to be. So, okay, I think that's the end of our project updates. Does anyone have items, communication for future agenda?
I'll move to adjourn.
Okay,
Second?
okay, motion to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you, Sarah.
Yep.
Thanks.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thank you.